My name is Kristen Scaglione. I am currently an elephant keeper at the Cleveland Metroparks Zoo.
Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hello, and welcome back to the Rossifari podcast. All right, y'all, so this is a really fun episode because we are bringing back an old fan favorite to talk about something completely different. As you heard in the little teaser at the beginning, this week's episode features Kristen Scaglione, and this is her third time on the podcast. But Kristen is coming to you from a different zoo than the last two times, where she was at Akron before. Now she's at Cleveland Metroparks Zoo. However, we're not actually here to talk about her work at Cleveland today. Hopefully that'll be for her fourth appearance on the podcast. But you may remember that back last year in September, I had this mission to attend three conferences: AZA, AAZV, the Zoo Veterinarians Conference, and AAZK, or AAZK, which is the American Association of Zookeepers. However, life got crazy, and I was not actually able to attend the Zookeepers Conference in Akron, which was a major bummer because I was planning on talking to Kristen all about what it was like planning it, because she was the co-chair of the whole conference, and it was a lot of work and a lot of craziness, and I was like, this will be a cool story. But then we got very busy, and life kept us away from each other for quite a while. But now I was like, oh my goodness, registration for conferences is opening up again. And what better way to get people interested in the upcoming conferences than to have our interview that was, delayed 9 months or so. But hey, we're here now. And so, we're going to talk all about what it was like for Kristen and her team to plan the conference that they held last year at the Akron Zoo. You'll also get to hear a little bit about what's coming up at the next conference, which is happening in Omaha. And, it's just a fun catch up. We talk about all the things because that is what we do. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that interview with you. But before I do, just a couple of things. First of all, I want to let you know that the way this worked out, Kristen does not live in Cleveland yet. She's living in Akron still, and that is further away from where I was. So we ended up having to do the interview outside. And we went to this gorgeous park. Y'all know I'll do outdoor interviews sometimes. But there were a whole lot of birds and a whole lot of people driving by revving their engines because they think they're cool. You'll actually get to hear how I react to that towards the end of the episode. Just so you know, the thing that I yell is the thing that I always yell when I experience that. You'll see soon enough. And at one point, there was a party that started with like music thumping. And I used my little fancy editing to make sure that none of that is too prevalent. But you will know that we are outside. It's always fun to spend time with birds, though, right? And the other thing that I wanted to tell you is just, quick reminder, all that good stuff. Like, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you're following along on socials at Rossifari or at Rossifari Pod on TikTok. And don't forget that you can support the podcast for as little as $3 a month by going to patreon.com/Rossifari. So with all of that said, I think we're done with our little intro here. So without further ado, here is my interview with Kristen Scaglione, all about hosting the AAZK conference at Akron last year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
And that's totally what we're not gonna talk about at all.
Yeah, today. That's a whole other episode to talk about.
It absolutely is, yes. But today we are here to talk about a little journey that you went on last year. And originally, I was hoping to get to be a part of it, but life got too overwhelming because I was at 2 other conferences. Yeah. But so let's talk about why you're here. Tell everyone what we're going to talk about.
Okay, so we are actually going to talk about the National AAZK Conference. For those of you who don't know what AAZK is, it's the American Association of Zookeepers. Every year, AAZK hosts a national conference where delegates from all over the country and sometimes around the world will come and exchange ideas, attend courses, workshops, classes, network. It's great fun. And last year, our local AAZK chapter was the host. And what a journey it was.
I bet it was. And so to bring everyone up to speed, old-time listeners will recognize your name because you at the time were at the Akron Zoo. And we love our Akron Zoo.
Yes.
And so all of this took place at Akron before you went to Cleveland.
For the most part, yeah. So we hosted, our year was 2023, and we started planning for this conference in 2017.
I'm not great at math, but that seems like a long time.
Yeah. Technically, we were planning it longer than we needed to. But if you want to host a conference, you have to bid 4 years out. And when we originally pitched it to the Akron Zoo leadership team, they wanted us to have several more I's dotted and T's crossed. So we had to wait another year to submit our bid. But at that point, we had so many things were ready to go that it was really helpful. But obviously 5 years is a long time. And right at the end of that, the year of our conference, an elephant position opened up in Cleveland. And that was always my dream to work with elephants. So I took my shot and switching jobs right the same year as hosting a national conference was probably not my best decision, but we made it. It's fine.
You did. You made it, and everything apparently went really well. I've heard really good things. So we'll talk about all of that.
Okay.
And all of that. So I guess the first thing that I want to do is find out what the conference is. You kind of gave a very vague overview of it. But if you are, because it's another year now, and so we're going to be coming up on another AAZK conference. So if you're listening to this and you're a keeper or you're a volunteer or whatever, and you're interested in what that conference might be like, can you just say year to year, what is the AAZK conference?
Yeah, sure. So year to year in usually September, sometimes early October, we have a week-long conference, typically runs Sunday evening to Thursday. That can vary a day or two either way, depending on the conference host and how they were running their conference. But during that time, on Sunday evening, there is an icebreaker where you can just meet the other delegates and really get to know people outside of your little bubble, because I know I struggle with that sometimes. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday is a whole lot of programming, which means there's a lot of presentations, like peers sharing their experiences, their training projects, their interdepartment working, like with horticulture and such. Then there's workshops, which vary every year. And people can submit these from around the country. So it's not just the people from the host chapter who are doing this. It's people from everywhere who are coming to share their ideas. And then throughout the week, there's also 3 certificate courses, which is 12 hours of program time. And those are set up by the host chapter, and they are typically about topics that the host chapter is very familiar with and is able to bring in people who subject matter experts who can really dive deep into those topics. So there's so many opportunities to learn. There's actually too many opportunities to learn. It's impossible to attend every single thing every day, which is really cool. But sometimes you're like, dang it, I wanted to do both these things in the same hour. And then, of course, we have a zoo day in the middle of the week. You got to go to the host chapter zoo because everyone wants to go to all of the zoos all the time. Yes. And that's really great. It's typically set up with a bunch of experiences, behind the scenes tours, training demonstrations. So, and then on top of all of that, every single evening is an event. So if you want to go to an AAZK conference, do not plan on sleeping because it's very busy.
That's cool. When you say every evening is an event, is this work events or are we like partying into the wee hours?
So the icebreaker is more of like a social gathering party-ish. It doesn't go into the wee hours unless you want to do that on your own time. I meant wee hours for zookeepers, which is like 9 p.m. Yeah.
I know the audience I'm speaking
it's
to.
Past the wee hours for zookeepers. And then a couple nights of the week we have, let's see, there's like the conservation rally. There's the Q&AZK, which is a really cool opportunity to talk with the AAZK National Board, which is sometimes people forget they even exist, but they're there. They're running everything. So that's a really unique opportunity. And then we have the silent auction. And the last night of the conference is the banquet. And that is dinner and dancing. So imagine a wedding with all of your coworkers, and it's silly and fun and perfect.
Amazing. That sounds like a really good time. So you were the president of the AAZK chapter that hosted this question?
So I have been, I'm kind of a loose member of the Akron chapter at this point. But leading up to the conference, I was in every position, every officer position at some point in time.
Well, yeah, it was 5 years.
And then the year of the conference, I was just the co-chair of the conference. And my other co-chair, Angela, her and I both took on the bulk of the conference. And then we had AAZK officers for the chapter to run the chapter as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I just remember you telling me that you were running this conference. Weirdly, in all of our conversations, Angela never came up. I don't know. When we were talking, it was your conference. Okay. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Well,
I'm just
rude.
Kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I know it felt. It weighed on you. Like it was a scary, hard thing for you to do. But you succeeded. So yay. Congratulations.
Yay, we did it.
Yay. But okay, so how many people normally come to this conference-ish? Or how many came to yours, roughly? And you can lie. I'm not going to fact-check you.
So it was actually a really weird time for conferences because...
Dude, it was such a weird time for conferences. I was so annoyed.
So in case anybody forgot, the world was closed in 2020. So we didn't have any conferences that year. Right. Sorry, the past 4 years are 1 year to me. So I'm just like, what is happening?
1 year and 10 years.
So we all got pushed back a year. And then the next conference that was held was the LA conference, but that was still weird times. That might have been 2020. I don't really know anymore. But
where is this tangent going? Is my question.
So the LA conference was hybrid, and they were able to put on a virtual conference, and people who attended the conference could, if they wanted to. And there was only about 80 people who were able to attend in person. And then the following conference was the Toronto conference, which actually was marvelous. So if anybody was there, that they can probably agree that was such a good time. But it was also in Canada, and that was an obstacle for a lot of people.
Right.
So at that point,
a lot of criminals in the zookeeping field. So.
Yeah, exactly. We were so scared. But it wasn't. We weren't really able to gauge how many people were going to come to our conference. So we thought it could either be 200 or it could be 400. Being in central of the country in Ohio, being like the first conference in the States post-COVID, we were like, let's plan for a million people to come. But we had about 280, I think, was our final count. So, which was awesome.
That is cool.
We were happy with that.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I had a funny moment. So, for those of you listening, if you don't remember, this conference overlapped with the AZA conference and the AAZV conference that I attended last year. And they were in Columbus, Nashville, and Akron, respectively. And so I was like, all right, I can at least shoot to Akron for a day or two as part of this. But conferences are insane. And by the time that I could have, not only would I have missed out on a bunch of the vet stuff, but I might have died because it was the most insane 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
And sneaking in an extra conference just wasn't going to happen. But apparently, word spread that I was coming. And I got all these messages from people being like, we hear Rossifari's at our conference. Where are you? John, where are you? And I was like, Nashville? I'm sorry. Like, it was really funny. But I was just like, it was so cute, though.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are all three conferences like basically overlapping?
Well, you can blame me for part of that.
I blame you for all of it.
Okay, that's fair. Well, we were trying to plan out the dates for our conference 4 years ahead of time.
Right, fair.
And AZA plans their conference out 3 years ahead of time. So we had our week picked out, and then AZA was like, guess when ours is? And I was like, neat. So we had to switch our week, and we debated on doing the back-to-back conferences versus putting a gap in there. But since Columbus and Akron are relatively close together, we were like, well, people are either going to not want to attend 2 conferences in Ohio so close, or they'll be like, I'll just drive from Columbus to Akron and it'll be great. So we had a little bit of both. Obviously, you were the one who couldn't make it.
Well, it's because I had 3 conferences.
Among others, yeah. Our own vet, she was supposed to talk at a couple of our courses, and she was like, I have to go to my own conference. And I was like, cool, bye. But we covered that too.
That's funny. No, yeah, it's always so fascinating to me. Like, I don't know, the zoo world doesn't communicate as well as you would hope from time to time. Mm-hmm. Like, what if all the conference sites and weeks were picked for the same, like the different conferences at the same time? Brilliant. But like, who would even know how to coordinate?
I have no idea.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I did when AZA picked their week and announced it, I did reach out to them right away because I was like, let's do like a co-marketing thing. Yeah. And we didn't end up doing that because Akron and Columbus, you know, they're farther enough apart that it was like, I don't know how we do that, but it ended up being okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds like you had a good turnout. And I have spoken to many people that were there who like really felt that they got a lot from it.
That's so great to hear.
Yeah.
We do get feedback at the end of the week. People fill out like the post-conference surveys. Mm-hmm. And there was all very positive. Like there was a couple little things that people had that could be improved upon, but overall it was very positive. And so I was kind of hoping like, this is accurate and not being like those people who are mad just didn't want to say anything, but I only heard good things. So.
No, yeah, it was really cool. The people in particular, the people who were asking like, where are you? We're excited to see you. When I was like, yeah, I'm not there. They're like, you're missing out. This is so good. I learned this and this. And like people were very excited about it, like in the moment, which I thought was really,
that's awesome.
Really cool. Yeah.
I love that.
So what went into the planning of this? Like you said, it was a 5-year thing, and we're going to distill it down to a couple-minute conversation. But explain to me how you spend half a decade of your life. So back when you were still a teenager, apparently.
Right, a teenager. Yeah.
How much of this was your life? How intense did it get? Tell me all the things.
Well, in the beginning, it was a lot. It was kind of like, I would not say it was like an extra job, but it definitely took up a good chunk of our lives. So we had to really get our whole budget in place off the bat in order for the Akron Zoo to give us the green light. That they were extraordinarily helpful. They had people from every department helping us with every facet of the conference.
This is not shocking. Akron is so good.
I know.
I was so sad when you left.
Happy.
I'm so happy that you have like your dream position.
Yeah.
But like, it's such a good zoo and you're such a good person. And like, I like that.
Yeah, that was extremely hard decision to make.
I bet.
But yeah, leading up to the conference, the first 3-4 years, it was kind of like very intermittent deadlines. We were learning a lot from the current conference hosts or the other future conference hosts. But then once that like 1 year mark hits from like 1 year out, man, it was overtaking. I was an officer in the chapter, and I was also on the board of directors for AAZK National at the time. And I had to quit doing both of those things.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I literally can't, which was a bummer. I love being on the board. But being able to put all of that energy into the conference really made a difference.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
So talk about, I'm just so curious, like when you're first starting off, you had a budget. Other than that, did you have to come up with a theme? Did you have to figure out, like, I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Right.
But, like, what are the first steps when you're planning this out?
Well, the first steps are, we were like really pumped about theme and all these possibilities that we could do, but that's not really the first step. You have to like figure out if it's feasibly possible for you to host a conference.
I guess that does make sense.
So I actually attended my first conference in 2017 at DC and immediately came home and was like, we need to host. I had such a great time. So at that point had only been to one conference. So I was kind of like still learning how it works. I asked a lot of other people who had hosted, who had been to conferences, and we really sat down with the leadership team at Akron and we're like, these are our thoughts. Here are our possibilities we were thinking. We have X amount of dollars in our bank account currently. We think we could raise this amount. If you help us with this, help us with sponsorships. So really right off the bat is really the boring stuff. Is figuring out like money, where are you going to host this? Are people going to help you do it? Because me and Angela, from the beginning, were like, yeah, we're in. But then other people were like, are you sure that's a good idea? So we ended up with a great conference committee, but I was worried for a minute there.
I believe it. That's challenging. And like, this is an industry with a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
You were co-hosting or co-chairing a conference that you weren't even at the zoo at by the time.
I know. Awkward.
Yeah, right? So like, I'm just curious, is there any way to account for that? Or was there like, in your experience, was there a lot of like turnover and flipping, or did people that committed to it kind of stay committed to it?
We had a little bit of turnover. To be honest, Angela was not the original co-chair. My original co-chair, she ended up getting a different job outside of the field, and then created an entire family. Because 5 years is a long time. That
actually is really interesting to put it in perspective. Left career and created a family.
Yes,
I like how you phrase that.
I let her off the hook. I was like, please worry about your family. We will be fine. But then as people left and new people came in, we were like, hello, come to us. So we assimilated all of the new people into the conference committee, and they were very excited. So we had some older people who had been there for, not older in age, sorry, Akron friends, people who had been at Akron for a while, and then like some of our younger, newer people. So it was really nice to have that mix.
That's very cool. And I assume that you attended basically all of the conferences in between?
Yes.
And I know it was, like you said, it was screwed up, but like, when you're there, is it like, like I was just house hunting, and now I can't drive past a house without like
caring about it and like wondering like, oh, would I want to live there? Would that be a place I would have bought? And I never cared about houses before. And I really want to get back to never caring again. So does it make the conferences different when you're like prepping yours?
Oh yeah. By the first 2 years-ish, the first 2 conferences I went to, perhaps the first 3, it was really cool to go and have all the conference experience, attend all the programming, do the events, interact with peers. But then the 2 conferences before ours, it was like, all right, you are in conference planning mode. You are meeting with this person. You're meeting with this person. And then the year of our conference, I'm lucky I lived. I mean, I was able to pop in on a couple things, and I was able to talk to a lot of the people I was excited to see. But yeah, when you're running the conference, you don't experience the conference.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you going to go to this year's?
Absolutely.
Yay.
I am so excited. So this year upcoming is in Omaha.
Omaha.
Yeah. And I've never been to Omaha.
Oh my God.
So I'm very excited.
You need 2 zoo days.
Yeah, that's what I've heard is huge.
Yeah, that place is insane. I love it.
Wendy and Stephanie are the conference hosts for Omaha, and I text them all the time. I'm like, how are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of like, retired now. So how can I help you? Like, what are you doing? What do you need? But they're doing great. So I'm really excited for their conference.
Sweet. Very cool. Oh yeah, you're going to love Henry Dorley.
I'm pumped.
So gorgeous.
Plus they have like 84 baby elephants there right now.
Yeah.
So there's a big plus for me.
Not bad. Not bad at all. So who determines and how do you determine who's going to present, how long they present? How does all that get worked out?
So the conference schedule, like the actual time breakdown, is created by the AAZK National Conference Manager and Professional Development Manager. That's the same person now, and it's recently changed titles, so that's why I've been like,
Yeah, good enough for a podcast.
So they break that down. And then all of the papers get submitted to the professional development team, and they're evaluated by the board of directors.
Okay.
And they are scored blindly, so you can't be like, hey, bestie. They are scored blindly and then submitted to the schedule. And then I think that we were able to accommodate almost everybody who submitted.
Wow.
And I know we were able to accommodate all of the posters that were submitted, the poster displays. So that was good.
Yeah,
but I know
really cool.
not everybody gets to submit and present.
Right.
But it's a really cool opportunity for people who are able to.
Nice. So what can people expect? Like, tell me about some of the things, that when they're presenting, what kind of stuff are we talking about here? Because I've been to AZA, and I know that's all over the place. There's all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
and then the zoo vet stuff was just straight up nerdy zoo vet stuff.
Straight up medical jargon.
It's what you would expect, yeah. So what kind of stuff, what are some of the sessions?
So I have also been to AZA. And AZA versus AAZK is so different because AZA is, while it does have animal care aspects, it's a lot of administrative focus. AAZK is very, very focused on animal care and what is tied to animal care. So there have been, it just runs the gambit. I'm trying to think of like a specific thing. I can remember last year we had like a presentation on Point Defiance's elephant. So she has TB and how they work with that.
Oh, wow. Shocker that you remember an elephant story.
I know. Isn't that so weird?
So weird.
But then that can be a very specific window of people. But then they also have had, I remember this really cool presentation about how, an animal care team worked with their horticulture department to really revamp an entire exhibit to elicit a lot of natural behaviors for the species that were in there.
Nice.
So that can be for, pretty much anybody in animal care. I know there's been workshops on leadership and similar things like that. I personally have attended professional certificate courses for keepers' roles in research, behavioral husbandry, and what was the other one I did? Oh, it was avian, like hand rearing and stuff like that.
Oh,
which
cool.
That is also a very small window of people who were like, yes, baby birds, but it was awesome.
Yes, and also the people that are bird people are going to be only bird people and very bird people and bird.
You know, birds are great, so don't even try to deny it.
Yes, I mean, obviously we're not talking about your new facility, but I know that while you are working with elephants, there are some birds there, and training may or may not be happening that you're really enjoying.
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
if there's
we can't,
a bird, I'm going to be there.
But yeah, that was actually really cool to see today. So
cool.
Cool. I like burbs. So I just want to take a drink of my coffee, even though it's time for me to ask a question. I don't know.
It's okay.
It's been a long
coffee.
day.
I understand.
It's been a long day too. Good day, but long day. But so how much support was the Akron Zoo able to provide? I mean, obviously, Zoo Day happens there.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious also about like how that all gets planned out. And is that you, or does the zoo figure that out? Or
so that was kind of and early on it was kind of like, so we Zoo Day. I'm like, is it you? Is it me? Is it you? Is it me? So they were like, we'll support you, but you guys got to put this together because we got a zoo to run.
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
Okay, that's fine. So our director of animal care at the time, he was like, just give me a list of every single idea you have for behind the scenes training demonstrations, whatever. And so we sat down and we thought of every single possibility, like things we had never done before. We're like, this could work. It could be cool. And we gave him the list and he was like, that looks great. And I was like, okay, we'll do all of them. It was so cool. So
nice.
We really had to be extra nice to our volunteer staff and our keeper staff and be like, hi, we're doing 3,000 experiences in our tiny zoo day. So please help us. But we put that whole schedule together. We had to coordinate everybody getting there. We had to coordinate where all like the signs went up for Zoo Day. But the zoo was able to accommodate all of those people, get them lunch, and then we had to also get them a surprise breakfast the day of.
What?
And I literally could not say enough good things about the Akron Zoo's food service team for helping us with that. But it was awesome. It worked out perfectly. The weather was perfect. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know you could control that. That's impressive.
I did. I wrote a letter to the sky and I said, please don't rain.
Nice. No, okay, so because we got to talk animal a little bit here.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the behind the scenes stuff or the cool things maybe that were like unexpected that you guys did at Zoo Day.
Yeah, so we were able to do a couple extra things for zookeepers that we don't typically do for like behind the scenes experiences. I know for as one example, the gibbon exhibit at Akron is just outrageously big.
It's huge.
It's like for an orangutan big. But they were outside in their outside exhibit. So in the day room, we were actually able to bring people into the day room and walk around in there, which we never bring people in there.
That's so cool.
Because, primates, germs.
Yeah.
So that was something that we did. The aquatics area of the Akron Zoo is very like homebrewed. Like a lot of keeper work went into making a lot of the like the LSS systems back there, which don't need to say LSS systems, but here we are.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't going to say it. That's for those listening, if you don't know, that's life support systems.
Yeah.
And so LSS systems becomes life support systems.
It's fine. It's fine.
No judgment.
So we were able to bring people back there, which we typically don't, but I really wanted to showcase. I was like, guys, you put so much work into this. You have to let people see what you were able to do. Stuff like that. Then we had, like our bears, our big cats. We had to do penguin feeds.
Woohoo.
Everyone loves a good penguin feed.
Y'all have Humboldts there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have Humboldts at Aquarium of Niagara.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any chicks this year. And Akron had a chick. And I'm very jealous.
What? I know we've talked about penguins before, but man, I miss me some penguins. And those penguin chicks, they have this smell to them, and it's not a good smell, but man, I love it. So I miss it.
Yo, so straight up, because we have talked about penguins before, but it's been a while. I have always enjoyed penguins. I have always thought that penguins are, cool. I've met some. They're fun. I have a lot of fun playing with them.
Yeah.
They poop a lot. They smell bad.
Sure
I
do.
know this, right? But they've never been like, I can walk right past a penguin exhibit. I've never had a problem doing that. As a matter of fact, I've done it many times at Akron.
Yeah.
There are red pandas to get to,
Yeah, beeline.
As you know. And when I joined the MMB team, the Marine Mammal and Bird team at Aquarium of Niagara, I was like, cool, I'm joining the seal and sea lion team. There are also penguins. And again, I'm cool with penguins, but I'm joining for the marine mammals.
Yeah.
I love those stupid birds so much.
Are they great?
I adore them. No species has grown on me more than penguins.
Yeah.
And in particular, Humboldt. I love them all, but just because Humboldt's what I'm spending time with. Oh my gosh, those little goobers and their drama and their big personalities.
Oh my gosh, the drama.
There's so much drama.
It's all the time.
Yes. Do you remember offhand this is just one of my favorite little facts, and I don't think I've shared this on here.
All right, I'm ready.
Do you remember what it's called when a penguin does its sound, does its bray that's really loud because somebody else is invading its like personal space and they want to keep it away?
The braying?
In a Humboldt penguin, it's called an ecstatic display.
Oh my gosh.
That really loud noise. That is what that is called. I love it so much.
Ecstatic display.
And now, whenever I have a friend who's like, because I have a lot of friends who are kind of like very space conscious themselves.
Yeah.
And like one of them recently was like, I'm sitting there. Because like somebody was sitting near where they were going to sit. And I just turned and I was like, that's an ecstatic display. And I started using that like.
I love that.
It's so good.
What
it's
a great term.
Ecstatic display.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. For introverts everywhere.
Yes.
Ecstatic display.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. So anyway, I could nerd out about penguins all day.
Same.
Yeah.
We could do a whole other episode about just penguins and I'd be fine.
So good. So good. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
You're right.
And so conference. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, like just from your experience or what it was like?
So I think what's a really important thing about conference is that we wanted to make sure it wasn't all business. Because I've been to stuffy conferences and God, that's a terribly long week. So we wanted to add some sense of silliness to our conference for sure. We had a really big rubber duck theme.
Nice.
The entire conference. Everybody got a tiny little rubber duck that said Akron 2023 and squeaked. And somebody during one of the presentations, after one of the presentations, instead of clapping, started squeaking their duck. And then that caught on like wildfire. Yes. And I was like, please, everybody squeak their duck every time you want to clap. It was magical.
That's the best thing ever.
And then it was not our banquet. I think it was for, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. But for one of our evening events, the theme was rubber ducks. And so many people came wearing rubber duck attire, dressed as a duck, had rubber duck necklace on. And I was like, you guys came to play and I'm so pleased. Like, it was just great.
Oh, that's really cool. That makes me happy.
Yeah. So that's a lot of people when they go to conferences. I know it can be intimidating, especially going for a first time, but the zookeeper bubble, everybody really just wants to go to learn and to meet people and to talk about silly, ridiculous animal stories. And I've never been to an AAZK conference and encountered someone where I was like, yikes, I don't want to see them again. It's just been all around great people there.
That's very cool. Very cool. Do you know offhand, or can you look up quickly when the conference is this year?
Yes, I actually know because I just booked my hotel yesterday. It's September 22nd. That's a Sunday. And it goes till that Thursday, which is the 25th?
Makes sense. So yet again, AAZV in Toronto and AAZK in Omaha overlap. And it's right after AZA, which is in Canada this year in Ottawa? I want to say Ottawa. One of those. I don't know. One of these days I'll make it to an AAZK conference.
You should. They're
I really
the best conferences I've been to.
That's really cool. Calgary, not Ottawa. Calgary is where
Canada
AZA is this year. Yeah. Now I have to go to AZA this year because, I mean, I don't have to, but as part of Safe Red Panda,
yes,
I'm going to be there too.
That's important.
Yeah, we're doing like a meeting, and it's going to be one of those things where it's like the private meeting.
Yeah.
And then we open it up so public can come in and like see what we're doing.
Right.
And that will be cool.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, 2025 will be in Phoenix.
Oh, I love Phoenix.
So there are endless opportunities to go to an AAZK conference because they have them every year.
Woohoo!
Unless there's COVID, but you know.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, so I'm kind of curious. I know that it is officially the American Association of Zookeepers.
Yes.
But do a lot of like aquarists, aquariums, it's kind of like in the zoo world, but they have different terms and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any of that? Is there a lot of that? Is there none of that? Is this purely for land creepers? Whatever.
Land creepers.
I don't know. I don't know what the heck I'm saying, but you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying. We've actually kind of tossed this around on a national level of being like, do we still want to be known as the American Association of Zookeepers? Because AAZK has come to encompass so many more people than just keeping staff. Like aquarists, they're just, please come and join us, like automatically.
They're literally just water zookeepers.
I just think of them as water keepers, the people who are like, we're aquarists. I'm like, I'm sorry, I just want you to be part of my team.
Yeah.
But then we also have, like in Akron's chapter alone, there's educators, we've had custodial staff, we've had volunteers. There's so many different kinds of people who just want to be close to the animal care field or contribute back to conservation in some sort of way, because that's really what AAZK, it's hand in hand, professional development, conservation, which you don't have to be a keeper to do that.
Right.
But AAZK was branded as the American Association of Zookeepers when it was created. And to, actually change that to another word, it would be a whole slew of things.
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
Yeah,
I completely understand keeping it that way. I was just more curious about nomenclature. To me isn't a big deal. I know it is to some people.
Yeah.
But I was curious. So it is very open to a lot of other people.
Yeah. We always try to express that at every gathering, like with other staff, or like, please come join us. I know it says zookeepers, but it's not just us.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
Man, not that I can think of. We talked about a lot in regards to conference.
Yeah, we absolutely did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, is there a conservation organization you'd like to talk about?
I always want to shout out to Red Wolf Coalition.
Yes.
We got to do a really cool experience with them, releasing pups back to the wild.
Yes.
So I always want to point them out and say what an amazing job that program does.
They're incredible. And I talk about them on Zoo News in particular all the time. And there have been so many births this year.
I know.
It's insane. There was just a litter of, I think, 8 in the wild. And then something like, I think we're up to 23 or 24 this year total between wild and human care. It's amazing.
So Akron's Red Wolf pups were the first to, they had a litter of 8. Mm-hmm. There was 4 of them went to the wild, 4 of them went to other zoos. And one of the girls who stayed within like the zoo population, she just had pups for the first time this year. And I was like, they're growing up so fast.
Do you remember which one that was? Like which zoo that was?
Her name's Flora. She's at the Trevor Zoo.
Okay, figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good friends with Dan, who does the PR at Trevor Zoo, and I've had them on a bunch of times. And he was writing the press release about that when he realized that Zoo News was coming out the next day. So I get a text from him, and he's like, have you recorded yet? And I was like, hit me, whatever it is, hit me. I think I've even just lied and said no. I already had, but I can edit things in. I was like, whatever, tell me. And he told me, and I love that program so much. They're so good.
It's just the best.
Yeah. Just very cool. Awesome. And then it is time. It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show, but there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari poop story.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't ready.
First of all, you know. Second of all, I told you. I reminded you.
I'm trying to think of a poop story.
Poop story?
Man, I could have the sheer quantity of poop now that I deal with compared to what I've done in my entire career.
It's so much. One of your elephants pooped directly in front of me today, and it was so much poop.
They're good at that.
Yeah.
They poop a lot. They eat a lot. They poop a lot. Yeah, I've never really had to use like full pitchforks and wheelbarrows to scoop poop before. And I worked with large carnivores most of my career, and I was like, man, I dealt with a lot of poop before, but whole other level.
Well, so tell me, is it like cleaner poop? No, I would think it would be like cleaner poop because it's like hay and stuff, right?
It for the most part is, yeah. Sometimes they'll get like weird brows, and then their poops will be different, you know, just like if we eat different things.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty clean. I'm used to like grizzly bears and penguins, and those are not always clean.
No, penguin poop
especially
is
not penguins.
disgusting.
Yeah, I've had penguins poop in my hair. It's gotten in my ears before.
I already shared this on the podcast, but I got some in my mouth already.
Yeah, it's nice.
You want to hear?
It's gritty. It's real nice.
Human being who has spent almost 4 full years now talking to keepers and aquarists and animal care professionals every week and getting a poop story.
Poop story.
Every week.
Yeah.
Tiny penis. So don't you just want to go have sex with that person?
Immediately.
Yeah,
I'm running right now.
Put your shirt back on, Kristen. Come back. No, anyway. So anyway, 4 years of every week getting a poop story.
Yeah.
Start working with penguins, which are the most poopy thing.
Yes.
Start cleaning nest boxes, which is cleaning poop. Decide to chew gum.
No.
Yep. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him not get poop in his mouth, apparently.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. No, I know.
The amount of times that I have accidentally gotten poop in my mouth, and I have only gotten one zoonotic disease in my whole 11 years.
Only one, guys.
Only one. And boy, was it a good time.
Oh boy, I bet it was. Oh God. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much, as always, for doing this.
Of course, I love doing this.
Yeah, we'll do. We got to connect with Cleveland. We got to get stuff to happen.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, I would love that.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, friend.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, are you inspired? Did you want to go to a conference? Do you want to join AAZK, even if you're not a zookeeper, in particular? I hope so. I think I'm going to have to join AAZK because I find that to be a very cool idea. So, yeah, I'd like to thank Kristen for hopping on with me as always. And also, I want to tell you all, this was a very last minute thing. I actually had a friend who was visiting Cleveland and very last minute was like, hey, I think I'm going to the zoo tomorrow with my grandmother if you wanted to come. And I was like, I mean, look, my friend Meg is cool, but her grandmother is legendary. So I needed to go and meet Grandma Pat. So I did. And I reached out to Kristen and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to be at your zoo tomorrow. Are you working? And she wasn't supposed to be, but she was. It was a weird schedule change thing. And I was like, can we interview? And she was like, duh. So we did. And I'm just grateful for those kinds of things. Always a cool moment. Yeah. So I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I did. And before we go, I want to take a moment to say thank you to my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, and Jenny Owens. And I'd also like to remind y'all that the word credits backwards is Steider. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.